Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen and others. You are listening to Radio Robin Hood. This is Conversation Oasis, coming to you from Kasviskeidas restaurant here in the city center of Turku. I will be your host today. I am Nana Blomqvist and I am a junior researcher at Åbo Academy. And with me in the studio today, I have Ville.
Hello.
Veera.
Hello.
Ronja.
Hello.
And Jalal, who is the owner of this restaurant. Right, so we will talk about a couple of things today. One less dramatic, and it's dramatic in its own way, but less dramatic, however, about the Dynamo Quarter and the reconstruction that will take place of that part of town. And then we will also be talking a little bit about the attack, the stabbings last Friday, or will it be? Yeah. Friday anyway. So Ville, you initiated this discussion about the quarter or the block, the Dynamo block. So what's your passion?
My passion is the thing that it's still it's like a proposal that to sort of like to make the city more lively or something. There's
vital.
Vital. Yes, there's the idea that these old wooden houses and also part of the old stone building where the Sammakko Kirjakauppa is located.
Yeah.
Also, those would be removed and replaced with a hotel, which is because people say that Central has not enough hotels or hotel space. And all this to sort of like make the Central more lively, which most people disagree with. Actually, there have been a lot of many writings and I think that an address or something to collect names. Since in that block there's one of the Central's most lively bars, Bar Dynamo, or nightclubs, and then also more newly established Bar Ö, which is also very popular.
A nice place.
And a nice place, yes. And actually, I read this very good writing about this topic that actually it's like the only place in Turku which has this kind of atmosphere. Like if you think about any other blocks around the city, it's like close to the riverbank. It's only place where these old wooden houses are actually used in cultural meaning and manner in very heart of Central. So basically what I'm saying is that should it be actually replaced with a hotel? Rather, it has, for example, the big inner court, which could be used, for example, as a flea market, like an open-air flea marketplace, or open-air movies, or whatever, and remain in a cultural use instead of building a hotel. If you have to change something, why hotel? That's my point.
Right. Yeah, if I pose my own opinion, like Bar Ö is the only bar in this town that plays good music. Or actually Bristol, if the owner is working that night, actually he plays quite good music as well. Yeah. But yeah, it's a very big shame if Bar Ö disappears. I hope they find a new location. If not, if they go through with these plans. Ladies, Veera and Ronja, what's your take on this plan to reconstruct?
I think the whole area is like very important alternative cultural place. Like there are many small firms and small
businesses.
Yeah, businesses. So I think it's a huge loss to the city if they're going to rip down everything and so. And there is no other alternative cultural places in the center of the city.
How about if in the new building they consider a kind of cultural center or a kind of place that is for cultural activities? How about that? Then the city organize of the plan?
I actually heard that somebody had already proposed that because Turku has no cultural center in a kind of left-wing culture thing which could sort of unite that kind of stuff. So it would be a perfect spot to it because for example, it's located next to the library also, and it's like a hub for that kind of stuff. But currently the plan is a hotel.
But I agree with you, but I think we need a kind of opposite voice here also.
Yeah.
If they don't want to touch it, how long they shouldn't touch it? So we need changes anyway in our life. And for example, the little bridge they made on the river close to the library. It was very helping the movement, and now we see the city is more alive, and the festivals they make. These are new changes. We have had more market, more festivals, and these are good changes. And if we don't know still what kind of changes would happen if they build their hotel or some whatever, but we don't know how that would change our town. But how about if it's good?
And one aspect is also that parts of that building is moldy. I can tell that by my own nose. I can actually not go to Bare because of that. I can't stay there more than 15 minutes. And
it's not even secure enough because they are not allowed to touch it to renovate the buildings. And
there are problems. That's true.
And then the other problem is that if they make a new building there, the rents are very expensive and nobody can rent them, and then they will be for a long time probably free spaces because town needs a little bit more cheaper facilities for businesses.
Ronja, do you have a passionate opinion about this?
I do. I actually am very passionate about the whole thing. I'm having a hard time trying to formulate a sentence that's not too brutal, because I think it's quite disgusting how these things tend to go about. I think there's a lack of dialogue because it seems like there's just suddenly we find out that they have been planning this for a really long time, and that now the houses are already moldy, and that there's nothing to do, and we just have to accept this. And I feel like these decisions are made by people who don't really understand the common the common folk and how important this part of town is for us, and so they just kind of they look at it from a very narrow perspective,
Or distance.
Yeah, distant. Don't understand the meaning for the people, and I think there should be an understanding, and then we should try to work out together how we can maybe save these buildings or. Yeah.
Have you, by the way, ever followed a meeting at the city council? Like how it looks?
No.
It's horrible. I'm wondering, I'm almost glad I didn't get elected because I would die in those meetings. But I watched one and I was wondering, how the hell is anything constructive ever coming out of that room? Because it's the meeting structure, everything, the meeting culture, it's horrible. So I actually wonder how decisions are made even. And also, of course, the proportions of who is deciding things in this city is disadvantageous for these so-called alternative cultural spaces and places and way of thinking even.
Yeah.
It's more. It's the parties that are more driving a neoliberal agenda and business making and capital income for those who can invest big money are prioritized, and also very obvious, but also just the meeting in itself in there, Jesus Christ.
And of course these cultural ground level people, they may collect names and propose their opinion, but basically we don't have this kind of lobbyist culture that penetrates to these meetings or something.
Definitely not.
And then again, there are lobbyists for example, projects driven by big money. They have politicians that propose those in those meetings, and they propose them again and again and again, and finally they get through.
They just drive them through somehow.
Yeah, and I believe that the people that are deciding about the place are not like the usual customers to visit anything that's in there.
Yeah.
Like they're not not in the focus group or anything. So I think they just don't realize how important it is for the citizens. So
And even if they do, they probably don't care.
yeah,
Sort of.
They might not value it because it doesn't really show up as that in their like aesthetics or money speaking. Like they don't just like there's nothing of value to be seen there in their eyes probably.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And of course, it's not only about the building because I mean, if the building is crap, of course it can go. But then to at least give space for the agenda to create another place and space for those activities and cultural spaces that exist in those buildings. So that I mean, it doesn't have to be in that building, of course, and especially if it's in a bad condition. But I haven't heard. Okay, I've been away for 3 weeks from this town now, so I'm not sure what the discussion has been. But I haven't at least noticed any discussion about any places or spaces for these facilities that exist in this building right now.
No, there hasn't been, and I think the most maybe confusing thing is that the motivation is to vitalize the city, and then the proposal is a hotel, which is, I think most hotels are pretty like, for average citizen, they are not very like places which you visit every day, which activates you, and things that you do in a city. Maybe for tourists, but
why would anyone want to come here anyway? Like the way it looks in this city. I mean, come on.
Maybe for the Dynamo, but it's no longer there.
I have to say that I think the problem is not those decision makers for these changes. The problem is us that who they don't have a strong voice. They do a lot of things and we don't accept them, but we talk about them for a while and then we accept the changes. So we should establish a kind of a strong voice.
But how radical do we have to be in our
Not
protest?
radical, but
do we have to
kind of
do we have to apply a French cultural touch to this rioting stuff or what?
Not rioting, not anything radical, but within the system we should find out what we can really do strongly, not just talking about it.
I think one way is to show by example that what's going to happen there. For example, I've been starting to think that it would be really nice to keep like a flea market in the inner court, which is now parking lot, but it's like it's
parking lots all over. This city is nothing but a parking lot.
It's just a parking lot.
And the city center.
That's maybe the positive thing. If they build a hotel, they at least will build it over parking lot partly. So something. But anyhow, if we would just show that hey, this inner court can be used like this, there are not that kind of inner courts in Turku at all. I don't know any other place. So that could be a very nice spot to keep outdoors things, happenings. There's like a potential there, but with very little changes, just to remove those cars. I'm always removing cars, but still. They're anyway building like a cave for cars, like a couple of blocks away, so it's not that difficult. And there's like I see a lot of potential there. Even if those houses are taken down, something else, we could still preserve the inner court and build new buildings, smaller buildings.
Right. So let's see if there will be any inner court left after the hotel is built, and
there will be no hotel built. This is I hate that this discussion is taking the turn that we're actually even considering that there will be a hotel, because we shouldn't think about it. We should just I think we should laugh about it and because it's absurd.
Right. So let's plan like future protests against this. I mean,
consistent action. Like we can't just like shout once and then I don't know, then we stop caring or I don't know.
So let's start in our minds, build up a strategy for more constructive plans with that block, and then we will change the subject.
But before,
Jalal.
I should say
Jalal.
that we need more because
More riot.
No, not riot, not on the street, but using more internet effectively, getting more.
Says someone who doesn't have Facebook. Like, excuse me. Excuse
Facebook,
me.
please. But we should use internet more effectively.
Says
for
the
this
one
kind of
who
activity.
Says the one who sits at this table and uses the internet the least among the one sitting here. Right. So please, folks, like plan your future actions, and we'll get it over to more serious business. Ladies and gentlemen and others, you are listening to Radio Robin Hood. This is Conversation Oasis coming to you from the city center of Turku, here from Kasviskeidas restaurant. I am Nana, and with me in the studio I have Ville, Veera, Ronja and Jalal. We have been talking about the Dynamo block in the city center of Turku and the possible destiny for that block, and now we're gonna get over to more serious stuff, or like even more serious stuff. The stabbing incident that took place some time ago here now. The first incident that is labeled officially a terrorist attack. What's your emotions about this?
Well, I can start. I had like, of course, it was a new experience to this kind of stuff happening so near to me, my home city, and my close relatives were very worried because my phone was off when it happened, and I just turned my phone on like maybe 3 hours after the event, so nobody knew where I was, and everybody was like panicking, like a lot of people probably experienced that. But anyhow, after it, I found it that it's, for me, like I reacted quite calmly, and I thought that if the terrorist motivation is to inspire fear and anger, if I can manage it pretty calmly, maybe that's a good thing. And but then I felt like somehow like that it was expected, like a reaction was expected, and I had not that strong reaction. So I asked myself, and in the social media, a question that is it sort of like become such a mainstream reaction that you have to show fear or anger or whatever, so it's kind of improper even to be calm about it.
But what do you mean by expected? Expected from what direction? Who expected?
Expected like by your friends or your relatives or whoever you know, or that's how I felt in a sense. But also another feeling that has been with me is that I've really not been really appreciative towards a lot of the media, which is actually increasing sort of fear by sort of like giving so much attention to these strikes. It's still, even if it's a big thing, it's still like one person who, and perhaps some suspect, but anyway, one person who is crazy, and we shouldn't give that so much attention.
Veera and Ronja, what do you think the media has been fear-mongering?
Well, I think actually the media has been quite calm about the actual event. Or maybe the after talk that has been like, it's been like really, really, I think, I don't know if the right word is like warm, but it's like there has been, and there has been this like by fear you don't win anything. So yeah. I think it's been like really understanding and
but like somehow a mature reaction to it.
Yeah, and I think I was quite surprised by that. I don't know, because
you expected this fear-mongering bullshit.
Or something like more like now Finland is going to be a very dangerous place and everything, but like I think like it was like quite calm reaction
So you don't agree totally with Ville's
Yeah,
analysis
well,
here about the
yeah,
media.
Yeah, well, there is like these disgusting photos and like video material and everything, but usually I think the fear comes from social media when people
Right.
post everything on Facebook, and I think there is this like this way to react to things. I think it's from social media that people usually people post a picture and there is like pray for some country, and I saw actually one photo with a pray for Turku
Right.
after that incident. So I think that's like common thing to do.
When something like this happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I partly, I mean, I agree with totally with Vera said. I think like part of the media has been like, I think giving more attention to it, and it should have, so that people in their minds, they are like, now it's starting and now it's here, and they connected to the narrative of other terrorist strikes and fear every car or person outside. So there's like more fear present than we should give power
Right.
to. That's
Ronja, do you agree with this?
Well, I think it's like if you say it's given too much attention, I don't think it's about the attention, but I think it's about the kind of attention it gets, because there should be a lot of discussion about it. And if there are people who are afraid, they should be able to express their fears, and we should have constructive discussions about it, so it doesn't stay somewhere hidden and then someone else goes crazy because they're just too afraid to go anywhere or something. Like it has to be really open. And so I actually haven't followed so much that discussion, because I don't really follow the news or anything like that much. So I don't know, but I heard that, for example, Yle has been taking it very calmly and hasn't been doing any of this mongering thing. So it's just the yellow press mostly. But I actually think that Finnish people are pretty smart in general. So it's not the same as in the USA, for example, where you can,
Whoops, sorry, Americans, we just called you stupid by accident.
Yeah.
just slipped.
Oops.
Yeah, but I think we're smarter than we might think, actually.
I think there is something culturally. The Finnish people in general, they don't react that fast to the
We're just lifting our
events.
eyebrow and be like, oh.
They want to really understand the thing that then react.
And of course there's
more
a difference.
reasonably, not emotional.
And of course there's like a difference who is kind of reacting how, because if our press is like reacting in a stupid way, or our politicians, which some of actually they have been uttering very stupid stuff, that's very irresponsible. If the general public go crazy in social media, that's one thing, but the media and politicians have a responsibility, which I would say the politicians have not been carrying, not all of them have not been carrying the responsibility the way they should have, actually.
Yeah, I think none of the politicians should ever get a message from this kind of incidents that they somehow benefit from it. Their politics.
Yeah, that's
so
one
I
thing.
think that's like a very
This
bad
is
thought.
a little bit annoying for me that every time something happened, the police says that he was under observation, and then they are waiting that happened. And then
Was it like that?
He was suspected. I think he was reported.
No. Yeah, he was reported, but he was not under surveillance because
But he was reported.
Yeah,
he was reported, but so was more than 1,000 other people were also reported.
But when we are in this situation, probably they should consider to pay more attention
They
to
cannot
this.
always know which one to put under surveillance actually, and the law also prohibits the certain kinds of surveillance until there is strong enough reasons. And in this case, obviously, there wasn't officially enough strong reasons to actually legally get the ground to put him under surveillance.
Apparently he was having a record in Germany or somewhere else.
That was not known, I think.
That was not known at that time.
Okay.
And also there was something about... No, wait, that was another guy who made an attack in Berlin. Yeah. They failed to because the international records they fail sometimes if they don't put in the information.
Okay.
So it's up to the authorities to actually keep it updated, so that. But in this case, actually, this guy's record wasn't known, and he has actually not. They are not serious felonies that he has been conducted in other countries so far, and also his identity has been a bit unclear. He has been using different names, so I think that was also one reason that, But yeah, they didn't put him under surveillance. They got reports of him.
But the other thing I want to add is that we cannot create fear and then not to expect from people not to be afraid. They sell guns to the Middle East and then they expect them not to fight with each other. They fight with the guns, and
that
guns goes from Russia, from Western countries, and so
even Finland.
They don't have really manufacturing.
We sell Finnish weapons
Finland,
also.
to Saudi Arabia,
Yeah, so kind of like the war will spread. That's just gonna happen. But one little thing about Europe is, I guess, the geographical position, because the US is of course selling a lot of weapons to the Middle East, but it's more difficult to get there. Otherwise, maybe like there would be more attacks over there. But Europe is kind of closer, so people.
Well, they don't need Middle Eastern. Probably they have Trump.
They have Trump. They have their own. Yeah, they have their own
Yeah.
dictator material there. It's just that he's not bombing the shit out of his own country. He's bombing the shit out of other countries far away.
Yeah, I don't know the exact details, or I'm not a specialist in it, but as far as I've understood that, for example, Isis has been born or created in the aftermath of Iraqi war, after the war. So basically, that's also a follow-up from war.
And as far as I've understood, they are a continuation of Al Qaeda, and Al Qaeda is, according to how I understood things, they are actually trained first by the Soviet and then by the US.
Yeah.
As far as I've understood, if I got it correct.
Yeah. Same thing with Saddam Hussein, I think, or was supplied weapons and stuff by US.
Maybe
first.
I actually don't know about that.
I have to correct what I said. I said Middle Eastern. I meant the Middle Eastern problem, which is caused by the war, not Middle Eastern in general.
Yeah. I think that's how we understood it.
Yeah. No, Middle Eastern problem, which is caused by the war.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it should be more widely understood how actually Finland and other Western countries are participating in these wars. And I think that a lot of racism, for example, comes from people not really understanding that and not, really knowing how all this works and how we're selling the guns and so on. And I think there should be more, this kind of things should be taught in school, and if someone is, racist, whatever, they should.
So in one way, it might be that we are actually fucking their countries much more than they are fucking our countries. Even after this.
Yeah, I think weapon trading should never be seen as a neutral business that you can just do. So it always has responsibilities, or you shouldn't complain afterwards if something happens. Well, we just participated.
It's kind of like you set your neighbor's house on fire and then it catches your house and you blame your neighbor.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good comparison. Then of course somebody might oppose and say, but Morocco, we have nothing to do with Morocco. And it's difficult to kind of take a stand about individual countries right now, actually. It requires a little bit more studying the matter. Yeah, do you have any other emotions you want to share before we close this session for tonight? Today, I mean. No,
not really.
I
think.
Just scream.
We can.
The other thing I wanted to say that people can call to Radio Robin Hood and give their opinion about this program, and we want to know what they think about it.
Are you sure they will be happy there now that they will start rolling in calls and they'll be like, thanks Jalal for
I hope that we are not wasting their time at least.
Yeah.
They should let us know if it's not good.
Yeah, sure.
They think
Why
it's
not?
bullshit
Or
what
they,
we're saying here.
or they can come and visit you here at your restaurant to tell their sentiments.
Well,
What do you think?
the feedback is always good.
Right. Folks, you have been listening to Radio Robin Hood. This is Conversation Oasis coming to you from the Kasviskeidas restaurant here in the city center of Turku. We have been discussing the wooden house block where Dynamo and Bar Ö, for example, is situated, and also the stabbing incident in Turku recently. In the studio with me, I have had Ville, Veera, and Ronja and Jalal, and I am Nana Blomqvist. I'm a junior researcher at Åbo Academy. You will be hearing from us again next week, the same time. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.